Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? What's happening? Hey, man, this is actually a response video, but I think that dealing with the whole aspect of doing a football show, I think it's the future for me in that. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the off season, get ready to kick off after the playoffs. But initially, the reason that I'm making this video is a response to all the infighting amongst the Falcon fandom and how idiotic it is to not understand that you have to allow a coach to prioritize their philosophy within the identity of the team. And what I saw yesterday was just idiotic to say the least, with all the Twitter beefing amongst Falcons fans after the Arthur Smith and not Arthur Smith. See, I can't get his name out my damn head. The Arthur Blank and the Rich McKay press conference. It gave further indication what a lot of fans already thought, that there's no prioritizing letting the head coach come in and run this team. What made me upset, what made a lot of people upset, is the fact that, and this was the point of contention on Twitter yesterday, the fact that when Arthur Blank was asked, where's the leadership going to follow in terms of when a new head coach comes in, and he was like, you know, Terry Fontenot, I'm assuming they retaining. Ultimately it depends on what head coach comes in, but we'll talk about that later. But for the time being, they retaining Terry Fontenot as GM. He said that Terry Fontenot and the new head coach will be reporting to Rich McKay. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking Rich McKay. Rich McKay is the CEO of the franchise, meaning that he's there to make executive decisions, and at the very most, his authority when it comes to the operation of the football team, letting the general manager know what the money looking like. Why would the head coach have to report to Rich McKay? And a certain sector of Atlanta Falcons fans said, "Well, nigga, like, don't you report to your boss?" Yeah, I report to my boss. I don't report to my CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an idiotic statement, to say the least. So that's how I'm looking at it. And it goes to show you the track record of Arthur Blank. Now, don't get me wrong. What's up, Trevor? What's going on? Don't get me wrong. As a person, the things that he's done in Atlanta, the improvements that were made as trying to build up a sports culture in Atlanta, I appreciate Arthur Blank. No doubt about it. Bringing in Atlanta United, building a new stadium, creating an atmosphere that fans can be excited about overall sports in Atlanta. I appreciate him for that. But when it comes to this football team, you make ill-fated decisions based on you wanting to have a persona amongst Atlanta. It all started with Vic. It all started with Vic when you came in and bought this team. That's where it started. And the track record has been persistent from now on out. I remember when Vic got hurt, we see you out in the field strolling Vic around in the wheelchair. Like, what type of shit is that? Vic was a superstar. Yes, he was. But it wasn't your job to elevate essentially a player over a coach. And that's what you did, Arthur Blank. That's simply put, that's what you did. You made the team about the Michael Vick experience and not what Jim Moore Jr. could do as a whole. Then when it didn't work out after Vic got locked up, everything went downhill. You hired Bobby Petrino. The same went with Bob Petrino. The team was so bad at that point where it wasn't communicated amongst the front office and the coaching staff that this was a rebuild. You brought in Bob Petrino as if he could do something now with the team, knowing that he couldn't, and he left us overnight and left a letter. Next thing you know, he the head coach of Arkansas. That's crazy. Then we lucked up. We lucked up. You brought in Dimitrov, brought in Mike Smith, and was able to draft Matt Ryan, the greatest era in Falcons football history. You lucked up. But in classic Arthur Blank fashion, you invested so much in trying to make sure that Matt Ryan was straight in terms of his contract and other players. Don't get me wrong. The Desmond Trufant contract, terrible. You put you prioritized Desmond Trufant to be here. You levied that over with Dimitrov, and he gave him an exorbitant amount of money that he didn't need, that he didn't play up to the potential to for all of that. And then you were constantly in a position where Matt Ryan had to restructure his contract, restructure contract. And you put yourself in cap hell. Not allowing Dan Quinn, that's a defensive coach, to implement any type of philosophy defensively with the players that he needed. Some of the worst defenses that we've ever seen under Dan Quinn. Then when that was all said and done, you go on to Arthur Smith. You finally get out of cap hell. You spend $100 and something million on the defense, which is a good thing. But you don't give Arthur Smith what he needs as an offensive coach. All three top 10 picks on offensive players that he don't utilize. Because he didn't come up out of his system is not that. Everybody knew in the first two seasons that we overachieved being 7-10. Nobody expected us to go 7-10 the first year, definitely not last year. But because based on what Arthur Smith was trying to do and having players like Huntley, Tyler Algier, CP, we was able to create an identity being a smash mouth football team. I can remember how excited we was last year in that game. Damn, what game was that? When it was the mic'd up game, Arthur Smith said, "Hey, we about to run the fuck out the ball." I said, "Okay, that's our identity. That's our identity right there." And then this offseason, you draft Bijan, which I can understand because Bijan gives another dynamic to the run game. But then you're going to replace what you were doing tried and true with Bijan, and you lost your identity. Multiple times, commentators during games this year saying that we didn't have an identity. We had one last year. It was run the fuck out the ball. Whose idea was it to just give the job to Desmond Ridder with no type of position battle? You bring in Taylor Heineke on a contract that was larger than Baker Mayfield contract, by the way. You bring in Taylor Heineke and you just deem him second string with no position battle. What made you think that Ridder was that much greater than Taylor Heineke? Now, I'm not taking up for Taylor Heineke. That Chicago game was horrible. Horrible. How you only complete 10 passes is beyond me. in this league today. But the fact of the matter is, we're talking about a guy that had very little time with reps on the first team. Very little. So what do you expect? You just deemed Desmond Ridder the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. No pushback from nobody. No pushback. You did that because in your eyes, you feel like your philosophy is sufficient enough to get the job done with a quote unquote serviceable quarterback, and you fail. So Arthur Smith, that's on you, and that's why your ass is up out of here. So Arthur Smith got fired, and you know, we had time to analyze the situation and think of predictions of what's next, what the future holds. And now we got infighting amongst ourselves, trying to substantiate an argument about the front office. Like, that's crazy as hell to me. Do all NFL teams have a CEO? I don't believe so. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. And I'm not tripping off of Rich McKay. Rich McKay has his job and what he does. I'm not tripping on the position. I'm tripping on the fact that you're essentially allowing Rich McKay to be the middleman in terms of how you want your team to be. And I'm talking about Arthur Blank. All Arthur Blank should care about is results. That's it. And as the right-hand man of Arthur Blank, that's all Rich McKay should care about. If I'm hiring a head coach, I'm hiring a head coach based on his track record from a coaching aspect, whether that be assistant, coordinator, whatever the situation may be. I'm going to allow him to implement his offensive or defensive philosophy, his scheme, and I have trust in him to run the football aspect of the franchise. That's his job. Terry Fontenot's job is to make sure the money's right. Make sure that as far as free agents, the cap space is available for whatever the head coach needs. Not what Rich McKay needs, not what Arthur Blank needs, what the head coach needs. To evaluate talent and to come up with a draft list that's adequate for said head coach. That's the role of the general manager. To be a liaison as far as money between the head coach and the rest of the front office. That's the role. Arthur Blake's role is to provide the money. That's it. So then you will ask yourself, okay, so what's Rich McKay's role? Just to nod his head when Arthur Blank say something? And I understand that Rich McKay got previous GM experience. So yeah, I mean, his input is appreciated. But that's not his role. Not right. That's not his role. That's Terry Fontenot's role. That's just like when you had Scott Pioli in here. And speaking of that, you know, it's rumors out there talking about Bill Belichick and people want Bill Belichick. I don't. But people saying, oh, bring Bill Belichick in. You think if Arthur Smith Arthur Blank bring in Bill Belichick, you think he gonna listen to what Rich McKay got to say? He ain't. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call him Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones got full control of the front office. And let me put the link in here if anybody, like I said, I know this is a different kind of show. What I might end up doing, I might end up creating a whole different channel dedicated to football. But I had to get this out, man. You know, because I had to respond to the dumb shit that I was seeing yesterday on Twitter and on YouTube. Like, it was crazy to me that we're sitting here having an argument about the front office when the front office is simply there to provide the resources to the head coach. That's it. And to evaluate talent. That's it. So I wouldn't necessarily say Blank is like Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones is the general manager in and of itself, also the owner. So Jerry Jones, yeah, he liked that full control. But I don't even think necessarily when it comes to Jerry Jones that he's not going to give autonomy to the coaching staff. Yeah, he may want a certain coaching staff there. Yeah, no doubt. But he's not going to take away autonomy to that coaching staff. In my opinion, based on the track record that I've seen, based on that press conference yesterday that Rich McKay and Arthur Blank had, it gave the impression of we're going to be here to cherry pick how the football team is going to be operated. So that's what a lot of people were saying on Twitter yesterday. Shout out to the Falcoholic. Adnan made a statement yesterday, was saying, you know, based on the fact that Terry Fontenot and the new coach is going to report to Rich McKay, tells me everything I need to know. I don't have any faith in a coach coming in here and being able to implement his philosophy of football in this organization. And I agree with it. Then you had all these people on Twitter. Oh, don't you report to your boss? Arthur Blank can run this team how you want to run it. Who are you to say anything about Rich McKay with his illustrious career in the NFL? Blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. First of all, we ain't even got no head coach to even be having this conversation. But me and you both know that when the head coach comes in, he's going to want his staff. He's going to want player A, B, and C based on his scheme, so on and so forth. Why should he have to go to Rich McKay to give the okay to implement his football philosophy? Keep in mind, Rich McKay is the CEO of the team. If you work at McDonald's flipping burgers and you get finished flipping a burger, whatever, and then you got to fly out to McDonald's headquarters and show the burger to the CEO of McDonald's, oh, is this sufficient? No, you don't do no shit like that. There's roles to play. Rich McKay is involved in executive decisions as it pertains to the franchise. That's it. That's it. Offensive and defensive schemes, players that are needed for said scheme, ain't got shit to do with Rich McKay. It just don't. I remember the first season of the Benz, what was that, 2017? Because I went to the first game. I remember during that season, It was during the pregame or whatever, and they showed on the news they had Rich McKay outside the stadium at the train station put out Breeze cards. Type of shit is that? Rich McKay is just there to be a liaison between the front office and ownership. That's it. That is it. So if you're gonna argue me up and down about ownership in the front office being involved in the implementation of what's on the field, then you're not looking at it as a football team. You're looking at it. It's a business. Don't get it twisted. It's a business. But the name of the game is results. If I'm the owner of a football team, I want results. That's it. That's all I want. Arthur Blank in the press conference yesterday, they was asking him about, finding a quarterback and whatnot. And he alluded to like a situation like he named Justin Herbert. He said the young man in San Diego. Then somebody had to correct. I believe it was Rich McKay had to correct him. It's Los Angeles now, Mr. Blank. He was like, oh well, that tells my old age. But I was like, hey, so he kind of alluded to, hey, like I like Justin Herbert. Like I wouldn't mind going to go get him. I know they in a situation where they don't have a coach right now. But whoever come in and coach the Chargers, I don't see them giving up Justin Herbert or letting them walk. I don't see that. Okay, yeah, it's all good. I was too, Trevor, man. I was supposed to start it earlier, man, but yeah, man, I was busy. So, but like I said, it's gonna be real quick. I'm not gonna be on here long. So yeah, he kind of alluded to him liking Justin Herbert, and maybe you know what I'm saying. It might be a possibility where, like, I wouldn't mind trying to like see what we can do about going after him. But me personally, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think whoever come in and coach the Chargers, no doubt, is gonna try to sweet talk Justin Herbert into like extending. That's me. If you might be right, Trevor. You might be right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say you're wrong. But I mean, hell, when you desperate for a quarterback, it is what it is. Now, with that number 8 pick, it's a couple of different scenarios what to get you in a position if you would want a quarterback in the draft to get a quarterback. Me personally, I like Michael Penix Jr. Shout out to the Michigan Wolverines. They awesome game last night. They destroyed Washington in the trenches destroyed it. Washington ain't never seen no front line like that on either side of the ball, defense or offense. The Pac-12 they ain't got no shit like that. So they got manhandled up front. And Michael Penix, he was constantly under pressure. This is the thing with Michael Penix. Michael Penix got one of the prettiest throwing motions that I've ever seen. I'm gonna just keep it as a left-handed thrower. I'm gonna keep it real. He flicked the ball, flick it, and it's gone. Michael Penix Jr. have to learn that he can't stay on his spot and expect, because he got such a snap in his throwing motion that it's gonna be right and exact every time. Last night he had pressure in his face, and he stayed on his spot and threw the ball. And you had the interceptions. You had to throw to the receiver that was wide open, and he missed it because he's not used to having that pressure in his face. He's not used to moving. So he doesn't know how to have pocket presence to the point where he can move off that initial spot and then reset. He ain't never had to do it before. So I think if he can learn that, Michael Penix Jr. will be a great quarterback. I wouldn't mind having him, but you're going to have to bring in a quarterback's coach, an offensive coordinator that can teach him pocket presence. So would I be mad at a pick like Michael Penix Jr. at 8? I wouldn't be mad at it. But as I've said before, and I think I said this to Trevor already, we need a veteran quarterback that can bridge, meaning being a bridge quarterback until a person like a Michael Penix Jr. is ready. I don't want to draft a quarterback and have him start year one. I don't. If you're going to draft a quarterback, draft him and let him sit for a year and give him the reps, split the reps, first team reps with whoever you get as the veteran and the quarterback you got in the draft. Like I said, I'm all in with Kirk Cousins. People say I'm crazy as hell. I'm in with Kirk Cousins. If we can bring Kirk Cousins in, I feel like we can win right now. And if you draft a quarterback, let him learn under the tutelage of Kirk Cousins, especially a person like Michael Penix Jr. I hear what you're saying, Trevor. I disagree with. I disagree with you, but I mean, hey, it's a compelling argument. It's a compelling argument. But again, I don't want I don't want to draft a quarterback and have him start year one. I just don't want that. Bring in a veteran guy that's able to conform to the offense faster than a first year quarterback can. The type of offense, and going back to Michael Penix Jr., the type of offense that they run, you got to let them learn. You got to. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't just throw him to the fire like that. Another guy that keeps getting talked about is Justin Fields. And now, if you get Justin Fields, hey, it is what it is. Again, even with a person like Justin Fields, you're going to have to give up at the least a second round for him, at the very least. But I wouldn't mind Justin Fields because I think Justin Fields got all the tangibles to be successful in the league. All the tangibles. I just think, the pieces around Justin Fields just been so bad. They just finally just got him a receiver in DJ Moore. You know what I'm saying? But if they keep Justin Fields, because remember, they got the number one pick. They actually got 2 top 10 picks. If they keep Justin Fields, I can see that being a situation where we may have the ability to trade up, even all the way up to that number one spot. Because Chicago, if they're going to keep their quarterback, they're going to be looking to trade down. Now, it's scenarios out there where they might swap picks with Washington because Washington picked 2. So they might swap picks with Washington. Washington get their quarterback, and then Chicago may get somebody like a Marvin Harrison Jr. And that would be a dangerous offense. Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, with Justin Fields here. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind a Justin Fields. I wouldn't mind a Justin Fields at all. Where we can move up. If you're gonna go all in with a quarterback. If you're gonna go all in with a quarterback, so be it. But you gotta be committed to what you want to do in terms of your offensive philosophy. And you got to make sure that quarterback either fit the bill or can catch on quick. But it's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to come up here with. Like, basically to like discuss the infighting amongst the Falcon fans in terms of equating uh the overall aspect of the team with the front office. When the front office job is to provide the resources for the head coach based on his scheme, philosophy, et cetera, et cetera. Like I thought that was like already known, but I guess it wasn't. So yeah, man, what I think I'm gonna do, and shout out to Straight Talk Society, shout out to the arena and all the platforms that I'm under. I think what I'm do, man, I think I'm gonna start a Falcon channel exclusively talking about football. That way, we ain't gotta I ain't gotta do both on my channel in the arena. So be on the lookout for that, man. And like I said, shout out to Trevor. He does the Dolphins deep dive. We might be able to link up and create something. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited to see what steps they're gonna take in order to get a coach in here that can be that spark within his own philosophy and not have to kowtow to the ideals of the front office. That's some bullshit. And if that's what you think, you don't know football. But with that being said, man, I'm out, man. Peace.